What's cracking, Jack? You are in the jungle. Lots of great college football action Saturday, October 18th. It's also my daughter's birthday. Happy birthday, Sydney. Let's break down 5 of those big games. Come up with the best bet for all of them. We have a lot to talk about, so pour a drink, chill, relax. It's the weekend. Let's hang out, talk football, and make some money. Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the jungle. We're going to break down what I think are 5 of the best games to bet in college football for this Saturday, Week 8. I'm going to leave for you 2 links in the comments section. The first link, now pay attention, this is a little bit different today. It's for my $5 favorite play of the day. And for just $5 and no further obligation, you get my best college football bet of the day text to your phone. But this is a play that's not in the video. It's one of my favorite of the year. It's not on most people's radar, but it's a play, it's a line I believe the books made a mistake on. The second link is to become a Jungle member. And for as little as 55 cents a day, you can become part of the fastest growing sports betting movement in the Western Hemisphere. What do you get as a Jungle member? Great question. You get my full betting card sent to your phone every single morning. All sports, all access. I cap MLB, NBA, NFL, college basketball, and college football. You also get access to our members-only Discord and a direct line to me if you'd like my personal opinion on any other bet that you're considering placing with a guaranteed response. We have a free weekly trial. Take it for a test spin and see if it's for you. Today's video is brought to you by Outlier.bet, the top name in sports betting research, and by Red Lobster, proud to announce that our Memphis, Tennessee location is violence-free for 3 days. First game up, I'm coming straight down the barrel at you at the most divisive game of all handicappers and sports media this week, and that's LSU at Vanderbilt. LSU is getting 2.5 points on the road. Vanderbilt is a good football team, but before last year, they were irrelevant. They were bottom feeders in the SEC. They're 9-5 their last 14 games, but still people get overly excited about them. They got beat up pretty good their last game by Alabama, 30-14, in a game that many people picked Vanderbilt to win straight up. Vanderbilt has one quality win this year, and that's over an underachieving South Carolina team who, by the way, was without their starting quarterback. LSU's lone loss this season was on the road at Ole Miss, a top 6 team in the country. They lost that game 24-19. LSU has beaten South Carolina, Florida, and Clemson. Defense travels, and I mentioned those teams that LSU has played, and despite those good teams, they're still 5th in the country in points allowed per game, allowing just 11.8 points a game to opponents. The only defense that Vanderbilt faced that is similar to LSU this season was Alabama, and Vanderbilt struggled mightily against the Crimson Tide's defense. LSU's offense has been a problem this season, we know that, but they're starting to come together. 420 yards of total offense last week against South Carolina. I think LSU's defense can shut down Vanderbilt's offense, and as long as LSU can run the football on offense somewhat effectively, that's going to put less stress, less pressure on Garrett Nesmeyer. And I think they'll be able to. Alabama ran for 146 yards against Vanderbilt, and Alabama isn't even that great of a running team. The best unit on the field in this game is the LSU defense, and the worst unit on the field is the Vanderbilt defense. I think the wrong team is favored here. Take the Tigers plus 2.5 over the Vanderbilt Paper Tigers. Next game, number 23 Utah at number 15 BYU. The BYU Cougars catching 3.5 points at home. They call it the Holy War. Can we still do that? Is that still allowed? Over-under set at 49.5. 2 very good defenses in this game. Utah is 11th in scoring defense, allowing just 13.8 points a game. And BYU was 12th, allowing just 14.7 points a game. Now, Utah has played a tougher schedule, but when I look back at that one loss that Utah has against Texas Tech, which is the only other time they played a defense as good as BYU, Utah quarterback Devin Dampier looked in over his head. He had a quarterback rating in that game of 56. He threw for 162 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and Utah couldn't run the ball in that game either, just 3.3 yards a carry. I remember watching that game thinking, man, this kid is in over his head. He's not ready for this kind of defense. And this is a really good BYU defense. 9th in yards per play allowed, 16th in passing yards allowed, 23rd in rushing yards allowed, and 10th in defensive red zone efficiency. I think this is going to be a very close game between two good defenses, low scoring as indicated by the total. I think it comes down to a field goal. And I'd rather have the field goal plus the hook in my pocket with the home team. Give me BYU plus the 3.5. Number 20, USC. Super interesting game. Number 20, USC at number 13, Notre Dame. Notre Dame laying 9.5 points at home. The over-under is set at a high total of 60.5. But that's where I want to attack here. I like the over 60.5 in this game. Off the top, I want to read you USC's, who I believe is the best offense in college football. Last two games, points scored against defenses that are better defensively than Notre Dame. 31 points against Michigan, 32 against Illinois. Besides that, USC scored 46 against Michigan State, 33 against Purdue, 59 against Georgia Southern, and 73 against Missouri Southern. Bless their heart. This is how good the UFC offensive line and offense is. Last week against Michigan, who's a top 10 defense, the Trojans lost their top two running backs. Their third string running back comes in. He's a walk-on. Ran for 158 yards, averaged 8.8 yards a carry. This offense is number one in the country, in my opinion. Now let's look at Notre Dame offensively, their recent offensive performances and some of their best. They're a top 10 offensive team, 2 in college football. 56 points against Arkansas, 56 against Purdue, 40 against listen to this one, 40 against Texas A&M they scored. Texas A&M is an elite defense. You see the point here? Two explosive elite offenses that together average 85.5 points a game. USC's averaging 45.5. Notre Dame is averaging 40 against two defenses that are pretty good, okay, but not great. This is going to be a shootout, and I think this line is short. Why is it 16.5? Because 63.5 looks crazy, but it's not. The public gets very scared. They become afraid of betting over high lines, but anyone who follows the channel, anyone who knows my show, anyone who bleeds Jungle Green knows that we take the high totals over and we take the low totals under, especially when the metrics support our case. Take over 60.5 with USC and Notre Dame. Number 12, Georgia Tech at Duke. Duke is minus 1.5 at home. The over-under is set at 60.5. Here's a red flag alert. We have an unranked team favored at home against a ranked team. This has been a system play for us that has made us a lot of money all season long. Example, last week, USC at home unranked, favored against Michigan. We were all over USC and it cashed out. Vegas knows more than the AP poll does, comprised of sports writers and no littles. And the fact is that most AP voters don't even watch the game. So what does Vegas know? Which makes them think that Duke, right, has enough to be the favorite at home against the number 12 ranked team in the country. I'll answer that. First of all, I believe that the non-ACC losses that Duke sustained the first 2 weeks of the season were good for them. And now we're part of the reason why Duke is in contention to win the ACC. Those losses came to a ranked Illinois team in which Duke was controlling the game until they started turning the ball over. And you can't handicap for fumbles. And a loss to a tough Tulane team. Duke has now won 3 games in a row. And in the last 2 weeks, they blew out Syracuse and blew out a good Cal team. Duke has one of the most explosive passing offenses in the country, averaging 310 yards a game through the air, which is 11th in the country, and quarterback Darian Mensah is playing at an elite level. He's completing 70% of his passes, has 1,838 yards, 15 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions. Mensah is the ACC's leading passer, and Duke is averaging 36.5 points a game. Now, I don't have to tell you that Georgia Tech is good. We know that, and they've gotten their due. They're ranked 12th, but I believe they're overhyped. Haynes King has done a lot of damage on the ground this season. He's run for 440 yards, but he's thrown for just 971. Only 4 touchdowns throwing. And that's good news for a Duke team that is better against the run defensively than they are against the pass. When I talk about Georgia Tech being overhyped, here's my evidence. Their wins include a 7-point win against Colorado. Coach Prime, 3-point win over Clemson. That looked better at that time than it does now. And they beat Wake Forest by 1 point and an underachieving Virginia Tech team that everyone's trampling on by 15 at home. I think that Duke is a better team here, and the books agree with me. Take the Duke Blue Devils on the money line at home to beat Georgia Tech. And the last game we're looking at, but stay tuned for a bonus at the end. Washington at Michigan. Michigan minus 4.5 at home. Now, this line opened up at Michigan minus 6.5. It's been bet down to minus 4.5. Over-under set at 50.5. A lot of people are big on Washington this year, and I understand why. They're a good team, and they've only have one loss against the number one ranked team in the country, Ohio State. But I saw a lot of reasons for concern last week defensively in their win over Rutgers. Rutgers moved the ball with ease against the Washington Huskies defense. The Big House is a tough place to play. Michigan hasn't lost yet at home this season. Now, granted, they've only had one decent opponent in Wisconsin, but when I look at the commonalities of opponents and the similarities that the Wolverines defense will face against Washington quarterback DeMar Williams, who's very good, I draw the comparison to Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola. I think Nebraska is a better team than Washington is, and Michigan went into Nebraska and beat them there. Michigan quarterback Bryce Underwood has been inconsistent. He hasn't been great, but playing at home is a much more comfortable place for him to play than playing on the road. I believe this line is short because of Michigan's performance last week against USC, and that game just got away from them. Now, Jungle members and I cashed last week betting on Washington against Rutgers, but as I mentioned, there was a lot of concerns in that game about the Huskies' defense. And the reason why Washington got that cover is because they stopped the Scarlet Knights inside the 10-yard line on 3 different drives. I don't think they can do that against Michigan, especially at the Big House. Michigan at home is 29-2 straight up in their last 31 games. Those only 2 losses came to a number 3 ranked Texas Longhorns team and a number 1 ranked Oregon team. Washington on the road is 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games, and this game is going to be 9 a.m. to the Huskies' body clock, one of the reasons why they don't travel well to the East Coast. I'm going against the public here. I'm going against the money. I like the Wolverines minus the 4.5, and I think that you should too. All right, so now it's time for our newest segment of the show where I share my favorite Jungle members' bet of the day. We have a Jungle members Discord of over 150 people, and every day I ask for submissions of their favorite bets. And I'm biased, but I truly believe, I do, that the Jungle Discord has some of the most knowledgeable sports bettors in the community of sports betting. I mean, we got Russ, we got Jethro, we got a ton of guys who are throwing their weight in there, and just, so many people to mention who are giving great input. Now, today's selection, okay, so every day we go with one play. Today's selection was super hard to select. There were many good selections. My runner-up was Jack Ramsey's Cincinnati minus 21.5. I love that play. But my selection, the one that I'm backing, the one I'm going with in this video, is Matt Chase's Texas Tech minus 6.5. It's minus 140 on DraftKings at the moment. And Matt writes in the Discord, and I quote, Oklahoma State is probably their opponent. Texas Tech's opponent is probably the worst team in football. This number has covered in the last 2 Oklahoma State games against Arizona and Houston. Cincinnati is a better team than both those schools. Sad to say, a school that once had a name in college football so absolutely awful. I agree with Matt. I agree it's sad that Oklahoma State has taken a nosedive, and I agree with Matt that Texas Tech will cover that 6.5. Let's have a day, Jungle Nation. Be humble, be respectful, be kind, but be strong. And I'll see you next time with a little more money in your pocket.